Welcome back to Sister Scoop, where we are covering the top 3 Marvel news topics of the week. This week has kind of graced us with some crazy, just pretty in-depth, all across the board news stories. So we're going to start with a pretty serious one that came out about a few days ago regarding Jeremy Renner. T, I'll let you take this away because I think you probably will speak a little bit more in tune to it.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a few different pieces to this. So it all kind of started, or at least what I started seeing first, was allegations against Jeremy Renner for inappropriate behavior. We're talking, unsolicited texts with someone who he was working with. And then, on top of that, allegedly, he also threatened to call ICE on this person, should they not do what he wanted. So just really some overall kind of disturbing allegations against him. And in the past day or so, it's also come out on his side that he's kind of countering, saying that, hey, I only worked with you on this one project, but you're, using my name, potentially even my voice in connection with another project. So it's just kind of, he said, an article kind of put it really well, where they were like, it's a he said, she said, but then some. So it's kind of like become this bigger conversation. But yeah, that's kind of the top line of that piece. Definitely not really a positive note, and not something that, is exciting to hear about someone, again, allegedly. None of this has been confirmed or anything like that, but definitely not something that we love to talk about when it comes to our Marvel actors, for sure.
Yeah, and as you said, and I guess as the article also pointed out, this is a he said, she said at the current moment. There are accusations on both sides about different things, about certain situations as well. I know she tells one story about one night. He tells a very different story about the same night. So I do think this is going to be one of those things that we'll kind of wait to see how it plays out. As Marvel fans, unfortunately, we're not familiar with some of this stuff. I mean, I think the last big one was obviously in relation to Jonathan Majors when that whole thing happened. Obviously, that ended up being why Marvel, if we kind of look at that perspective, did let go of working with him and we moved forward with a different storyline. The King storyline ended. So, as you said, this is really not something we love to hear. As of right now, it is innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure there will be more updates regarding it, and we will continue to cover it as we hear it. And as it unfolds, we'll see how that also could, on a different perspective, be impacting what could be coming in the Marvel universe as well.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunate, but there's probably more to come on this one as we get more updates.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to also not great news, though we are going to put this out there right now as we're on it. We are totally aligned with his perspective and we support him in how he is deciding to handle his career and his decisions because we are in support. Oscar Isaac has come out and said he is not currently looking to work with Disney and Marvel. That would be in Moon Knight, more specifically, moving forward, primarily due to differences of opinions regarding current political decisions and just affiliations.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if you know anything about Oscar Isaac and who he is as a person, this isn't particularly surprising. Like Katie said, I totally understand and am aligned with kind of his perspective on it. The studios that you work with say a lot about who you are as a person when they're making decisions on their own as well. And so it is well within his rights to say, hey, I don't agree with how you handled, certain situations. And until you show me that we are more aligned or that we are kind of on the same page about some pretty important topics, that there's no real reason for us to work together. It's disappointing as a fan in terms of, I would love to see him reprise his role.
I'm so sorry, guys.
We've talked about some exciting, potential projects that we'd love to see him in, but at the same time, stand up for what you believe in. I think that's really brave and great. So right there with you, Oscar. So we love you.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, I just want to say we as a podcast completely support him and his decision. I think you said it very well. Who you are working with can very much reflect on who you are as a person and your character, like physical character, not your character in a studio or film or anything of that nature. So yeah, we support him in the decisions he's making, and I do hope, for the sake of almost my own selfishness, that Disney is able to prove to him that they can be a little bit more closely aligned. I know we kind of had some conversations ourselves regarding things with Disney after the whole Jimmy Kimmel situation, and just how we felt and where we stood as a podcast as well. So I think he's doing what he feels is right for himself, and we support him in that endeavor. And um, I do hope it eventually is able to turn around, because we love him and we love Moon Knight, and we do want to see Moon Knight come back and see him play the role. But again, we support him because it's his right to do as he wishes and stand up for what he believes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now that we've had to cover some slightly darker, not darker, slightly just
More
not as fun.
serious.
Yes, that's the word. uh, now that we've covered those, we are going to pivot on the last one, because this is much more fun news, and also a lot more that I think we can kind of delve into regarding Marvel itself. It has come out that there's a rumor that we could be seeing multiple Doom variants in Doomsday, which I think there was a little bit of this thought process when we heard that RDJ was playing like 4 different versions of his character, or just I shouldn't even say that. We didn't hear that he was playing 4 different versions. We heard that he was playing 4 different characters in Doomsday. But now it's possible there could be even more than that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know people have a lot of feelings about this. Even just the article that I was reading was kind of summarizing what the fan reaction has been since this rumor has kind of hit the internet. And it's really kind of split into 2 camps. One camp is, well, you have marketed the guy on everything. Like, he is now the lead face of Doomsday. This is RDJ's show. As everything is that he's in when it relates to the MCU,
Yeah.
rightfully, he, creator, founder, the guy.
Yeah.
But people are a little concerned about, hey, if you're marketing this guy, what if he's not on for very long and he's not the real Doom? And I hear that. However, I personally sit on the other camp, which is great. So we're gonna have another Doom that's actually the real Doom, that's not RDJ. Because I think
Yeah.
if you've been following this show for any amount of time, you know that we are not particularly excited about the choice to go back to Robert Downey Jr. for Doom. Nothing against Robert. He's obviously incredible. It just felt like a little bit of a safe option. It does some weird stuff with the multiverse that I personally don't want to have to explain later on, or have explained to me poorly, because let's be real, they have not explained anything about the multiverse well at all thus far,
Yep.
and we're 2.5 phases in. So I personally am like, great, maybe he's just one of a multitude of Dooms, including potentially women, which could be interesting as
Yes.
well. If he's one of many characters who takes on what could be a Doom mantle, then great. Then we'll get to follow a different Doom into Secret Wars. I think RDJ could do it, but I just don't think it's the right moment for him. I just don't think it's the right role for him at this stage. And I would like to see another actor do it and actually own the role, because no matter how they costume him, I'm always going to see Tony Stark, and it's going to take me out of it. And I just know that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, not because I loved this, but because I think it would work really well in the situation. I would actually really love like a Loki style Infinity War, just, you know. I know that sounds insane. But really, I think that is, and you know what? The internet plays everything up, right? Like, and everybody freaks out and everybody whatever, whatever, whatever. But I truly think no, honestly, if we just take the internet out of this conversation and we walked into theaters after all of the marketing being with RDJ and all of this information we've gotten and all of it being, okay, RDJ is Doom, RDJ is Doom, and we walk in and they kill his Doom off like that. You can't tell me as fans you're not going to be sitting there like, oh God, oh no. Like, and just like, what the heck is happening now?
Yeah, the
Because
plot
that
twist
was,
would be
yeah.
major.
And I think if you were in the fandom and a Marvel fan in 2018 when that happened in Infinity War, and okay, like this wasn't the same equivalent, but it was Loki. We've known Loki for years. And to have him die 5 minutes into this movie, while we also just saw most of the Asgardians get slaughtered and Heimdall die, I think that immediately sets the tone for the movie of being like, "Oh, this is gonna be scary." Like
Yeah.
this is I don't know what I'm walking into anymore. And so I actually really would enjoy that kind of, and to your point, a bait and switch. Like we expect one thing, it completely switches up. And then we do have other variants involved, and we get to see different actors come in and things of that nature. And then we end up with the one that we're going to end up with. And so I think, it's a very cool idea. Again, that's not their idea necessarily, though. That is where we're going with it, where other fans are going with it. So I think this is another one of those, if it's executed in a really cool way, this
Yeah.
would be great.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to just have to find out, unfortunately, if that's what happens. But I think this is really cool news as long as it just doesn't make the entire movie super busy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it gives me hope that like they aren't totally putting all their eggs in that basket, because that's a basket that I have been railing against for over a year. So,
Yes.
love you,
Yeah.
RDJ, but not your moment, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's definitely it was a decision. It created a lot of talk, and I think that's a good thing. It's going to continue to create a lot of talk, and I'm hoping that's really all it was for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Well, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are joining us next week as we have 3 new Marvel news topics coming your way. And on the podcast side, we are doing our WandaVision replay. So come join us as we revisit the WandaVision era, a great era, if you will, and listen to us on that side as well. Until next week, see ya.